Hey, it's Stacy here from Sacred Art and Story, and I thought I would share with you a project that I just kind of wrapped up here in my studio that kind of was a bit of a surprise for me because it wasn't doll making and it wasn't me working with clay, which is sort of my normal go-to stuff that I do here. But it was some slow stitching, and that is a big surprise because I don't do any kind of stitching. I am not somebody who does any kind of embroidery work. I'm horrible at sewing. But slow stitching kind of kept calling to me. And I finally wanted to do a little bit of it because the world is so crazy right now. And I kind of felt like I needed a creative project for sure. I felt like I really needed to be doing something that kind of tapped me into my creative rhythm without any kind of need to be perfect with it to create anything that actually needed to even be anything. And that's kind of how I tackled this. And I loved it so much that I actually did it for the Artful Crone, our project this month in the Artful Crone, which is my online group. And I just was hearing from so many people that they needed a rest, and I feel like that's how we all feel right now. But I think a creative rest is really important because I think it does tap us into that creative energy, like that feeds us and feeds our soul, especially when we can do some kind of creative thing that doesn't really require us to um, find perfection and find technical prowess and all of that. So this was kind of a project that I just really let myself not do well. And I will tell you, it was really, really enjoyable. So here's what I made. Let's see if I got it right side up. I kind of do. So you can see it is not anything necessarily in terms of it turning into something that had to be anything, but it really was about for me like playing with different ideas, like being grounded and my breath, and then the idea of sort of once I got settled, could I expand, into sort of a bigger space in some way, and then in that could I kind of claim some ideas in that. And so I really let the stitching kind of be a way to express that a little bit. But I think what I found that I loved so much about this, is that it happened often every morning. I would get my tea and I would light a candle. And it was often one of the first things that I did for a little while. I would just sit down and do a little stitching. I didn't have to do it all at one time. It didn't have any direction. It didn't need to be anything. And I got to kind of play, and I stopped worrying about, is the stitch the right size? And, am I leaving too much space between stitches? I just let all of that go. And I kind of played with what does it feel like to just be in this rhythm of stitching. And I loved sort of taking the needle and just doing this really long collection of stitches and then pulling, the thread through. There was something so viscerally yummy about all of it. And that's really what I focused on because I kind of let go long ago. Like it just wasn't going to look like anything and it doesn't have a place anywhere. I'm not going to do anything with this piece of fabric. Maybe. I mean, it might turn into something that becomes a doll dress or something strange like that down the road. But it really was just about, I'm going to just stitch just because. And I pretty much only did like a running stitch. I think I did some knots in there as well, but I just let it be what it was. And how often do we do that, when we're creating things? Usually we have like a point to what we're creating or an idea or a goal or something that we actually are trying to, take from our imagination, into reality. But this was just really, really different and I loved it. So I'm excited because we're doing it in the Artful Crone, but I thought I would kind of share this with you. And I say, especially if you're not somebody who does any kind of stitching, just maybe try it, and I didn't even have like a an embroidery hoop or anything. I just took some fabric that I had. I took some embroidery thread that I had, picked colors in the moment that felt really exciting and interesting to me. And I just followed sort of my intuition of where I wanted to go on the fabric, on the page, so to speak, and just let it be what it was. And it was all just about being in the moment, with it. It was very meditative. And it did slow me down and it did help me to just expand out a little bit in this crazy world that's kind of got everybody feeling so tight anyway, to have a creative project like this that just sort of didn't really mean anything but meant everything at the same time was lovely. So, yeah, try it. If you want, join us in the Artful Crone. You can do it with us. And I kind of share what I was doing and kind of gave everybody some ideas of how to do it and talked a lot about things like grounding and expansion and, all those things that have come out of so many years of doing energy healing work. But yeah, I think just, trying something that just can like be meditative right now, that can kind of slow you down, that doesn't really even have a point. That's a powerful thing to do right now with our creativity. So I hope you'll try it. And you never know what you might make. Maybe it comes out so amazing you want to hang it up. Maybe it becomes a doll dress. Who knows? But it was really fun to do. So I thought I would share it with you and just kind of let you know that like these little like where will I put this? All these little circles and things like this. That was the best part of this for me, was just making these circles and going around and turning the fabric and stitching and just letting the colors change. It just, everything just felt really good to do. So I think that the slow stitching grandmas that were sort of hanging out behind me, the collective of the women who have stitched before me were sort of hanging out, and it just felt so good. So I hope to try it and yeah, see what happens.